Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Want to welcome you to another beautiful Shabbat morning. As we begin our Shabbat service, we, as always, look a little bit towards gratitude about creating an environment and a space for our prayers. Remember, removing any kind of friction that we may have, any thoughts or opinions that we have. One of the best part of developing a spiritual life is not coming to conclusions about something, but remembering about possibility and what possibilities are out there. And that's really what the morning blessings are about. If you want to join us on page 146, if you just look at the brachas, that's really what they are, is looking at the world anew each and every morning and looking at just the possibility of each and every morning. So if you look at the very first blessing, Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Asher Natan L'Seif Chivina Lehavchin Bein Yom Uvein Laila. It's really there's interesting translations, but I'll just read the translation here. It says, for bestowing the ability to distinguish between day and night. That isn't it true that you and I look at the day as night, the day as day and the night as night. But if you spoke with an owl, right? And I don't know, many of you do that. But if you speak with an owl, is the owl going to give you the same reflection of what day is and night is, right? So it's about us maybe understanding that there's a lot of different possibilities out there, that we assume day is day and night is night, but God has given us the ability to understand and to distinguish between what is our understanding. But we should always be respectful and understand the beauty of our experience is just that, our experience, and that there are many other experiences out there. That is ultimately a way in which to help us understand about possibilities, understand perspective. And that's how we start out the morning, that we're grateful for that in our brachas, in our blessings. We start with our blessings on page 146.
Shabbat Shalom. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan l'sech vivina lehavhin ben yom uven laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sha'asani betzomo. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sha'asani ben chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sha'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam roka haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sha'asali kol tzarki. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher chechin mitzadei gaber. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael bigvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael betifara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Anoten layayaf koah.
We turn now to page 218. You who abide forever, magnified and hallowed by your name. And it goes into just a few verses. Befi yesharim titalal, u'divrei tzadikim titbarach. Different ways in which we interact with the world, certainly through our mouth. It says the pei, our words, our mouth, the devarim, the words we say, or the lashon, the really are here it says the tongue, but there are different ways in which we can praise. And maybe we reflect today on our language a little bit. This past couple of weeks, there has been very, very strong language that people are using towards each other. And we would do well, and I know Cantor would agree with this, is that we would do well to be thoughtful about what comes out of our mouth. This is why in our tradition we sing praises. Cantor has done this for years, spent time and energy learning how to praise. There are different languages to praise in, not just in the Hebrew and the English, but different nusachs, different melodies, and how we praise really makes a difference. We would all agree that if we spent more time in praise and using our languages praise and using languages as an opportunity to praise, we would all agree that the world would be different. We continue on page 218.
Shochen ad marom v'kadosh shemo v'katuv ranenu tzadikim b'Adonai le'yesharim nava tehila b'fi sharim tithalal uv'divrei tzadikim titporah uvilshon chasidim tidromam uv'kerev kedoshim titkadash Uvmachalot revivot amcha beit Yisrael. Shaken chovat kol hayitzurim lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu lehodot lehalel leshabeach lefaer leromem lehader levarech le'aleu kales al kol divrei shirot batishbachot David ben Yishai Avdecha Meshichecha Ishtabach Shimcha Malad Malkenu Berachot v'hodot me'ata ve'ad olam Baruch atah Adonai El Melech Gadol Batishbachot El ha'od Adon ha'niflaot Abocher b'shirei zimra, melech elchei ha'olamim.
We turn now to the blessing that opens up our prayer service on page 224. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or v'rei hoshech oseh shalom v'rei atakol. Praised are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who forms light and creates darkness, who ordains the harmony of all creation. Let's remember that the most important thing is that we as human beings are alive and we have an opportunity to observe the great creation that is around us. The moment we kind of cut ourselves off from the creation around and get worried about our own creations, this is really what Shabbat is about, to remind us that the most important creation is, quite frankly, the creation that we are all a part of, not necessarily the creations in our mind. How many of us suffer from a lot of those creations? Isn't that right, Cantor? Suffering a little bit from what we create in our mind. We turn now to a wonderful, at least my favorite kind of song, El Adon, which describes this creation in Kabbalistic terms.
El Adon al kol hamasim baruch v'ora b'fi kol neshama gadlo v'tuvo ma'alei olam da'at u'tvuna sovevim oto ha'mitgael chayot hakodesh v'nedar b'chavod al chamerchava zchut u'mishor livnei chiso chesed v'rachamim livnei chivoto Tovim me'orot shabara Eloheinu Yitzhara bedad b'bina uvaskel Koach gvura natan bahem Liot moshlim b'kerev tevel Melim ziv umfikim noga Na'ezivam b'chol ha'olam Smechim b'tzeitam v'sasim b'boam Osim be'em ha'retzon nekonam Per v'chavod notnim lishmo Zachar verina lezecher malchuto Kara l'shemesh v'yizrachor Ra'a v'chitkin surat chavana Shevach notnim lo Kol tzava marom Tiferet u'gedula Seraphim be'ofanim v'chayot hakodesh.
We turn to 236. Cause a new light to shine on Zion, and may we all be worthy to delight in its splendor. Praised are you, O Lord, creator of the heavenly lights.
Or hadash al Sion ta'ir v'nizkechu lanu mehera le'oro Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMeorot.
On page 238, Ava Rabbah, we prepare for the centerpiece of the Shachrit service, the Shema.
Ahava Rabbah Avtanu, Adonai Eloheinu, Amla Gedola B'Tera, Hamalta Aleinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Ba'avur Avotenu, Shabbat Chubecha, Avinu Malkeinu, Vad Lamdem Chukechayim, Ken Techanenu Telamdenu, Avinu Ha'av Harachaman, Amrachem Rachem Aleinu, V'tein Belibenu Lehavinu Hashkil Lishmoa, Le'lemodu Le'lamed, Lishmor Velasot, Ulkayem et Kol Divrei, Talmud Torah Techa B'Ahava, V'ha'erinenu B'Torah Techa, V'dabek Libeinu B'mitzvotecha, Ve'yached Levavenu, Le'ahava Ulira et Shemecha, V'lo nebosh le'olam va'ed, V'lo nebosh le'olam va'ed, Ki v'shem kadshecha hagadol v'hanora b'tachnu, Nagila v'nizmecha, Nagila v'nizmecha b'shuatecha.
Gather our people in peace, O Lord, from the four corners of the earth, as we gather our 4-seat from the four corners of our talit and prepare for the Shema.
V'havienu le'shalom, me'ar ba'kanfot ha'aretz, V'tolichenu komemiut, le'artzenu, Ki el poel Yeshuot ata, Uvanu v'charta mikolam v'lashon, V'kerav tanu l'shimecha hagadol sela be'emet, Lehodot lecha, U'yachedcha be'ahava, Baruch atah Adonai, Abocher be'amo Yisrael, Be'ahava. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, V'chol levavcha, U'v'chol nafshecha, U'v'chol meotecha, V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, Asher anochi metzavecha, Hayom alevavecha, V'shinantam levanecha, V'dibarta bam, V'shivtecha b'veitecha, U'v'lechtecha b'derech, U'shachbecha u'v'kumecha, U'kshartam leotal yadecha, V'hayu letotafot beinenecha, U'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha, U'v'hisharecha.
The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the children of Israel and bid them to make fringes on the corners of their garments throughout the generations, putting upon the fringes of each corner a thread of blue. When you look upon the fringes, you will be reminded of all the commandments of the Lord and obey them. You will not be led astray by the inclinations of your heart or by the attraction of your eyes. Thus, you will be reminded to fulfill all my commandments and be consecrated to your God. I, the Lord, am your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I, the Lord, am your God.
Leman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai vehitem kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liolahem lelohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Adonai Elohechem Emet.
Emet v'yatziv v'nachon v'kayam v'yashar v'ne'eman v'ahuv v'chaviv v'nechmad v'na'im v'nora v'adir u'mitukan u'mekabel v'yatov v'yafeh davar hazeh aleinu le'olam va'ed. Truly, the God of the universe is our sovereign. The rock of Jacob is our protecting shield, who exists throughout all the generations, whose sovereignty is firmly established, and whose faithfulness endures forever. We now focus our attention to the Shemona Esrei for Shabbat as we prepare for another centerpiece. It's interesting, there are two centerpieces. Is that possible? Maybe it's a very big table that we spread on Shabbat. There are two centerpieces, of course, the Shema and then the Shemona Esrei. We begin our preliminary prayers on page 252, Tehilot Le'el.
Tehilot Le'el Yom Barum Vorach, Moshe Uvenei Yisrael Lachanu Shirah, V'simcha Rabbah Ve'amru Chulam, Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai, Mi Kamocha Nedar Ba'kodesh, Nohora Tehilot, O Sefer Shirat Shashi B'hu Golim L'Shimcha Al Safat Hayam, Yachad Kulam Hodu V'him L'chu V'amru, Adonai Yimloch Le'olam Vahed. Sur Yisrael, Kuma Be'ezrat Yisrael, Ufedechinu Mecha, Yehuda Be'Yisrael. Go Aleinu Adonai Tzavot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch Atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
On page 254, we join the cantor with the first several brachot of the Shachrit Amida for the Sabbath.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim v'Koneh Hakol, v'Zocher Chazdei Avot, Umevi goel lifnei v'neihem, leman shemo ve'ahava, melech ozer u'moshiach u'magen, baruch atah Adonai, magen Abraham, atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechaye metim atah, rav lehoshia, mashiva ruach u'morid hagashem, Mechal kel chayim bechesed, mechaye metim berachamim rabim, somech noflim v'rofeh holim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishanei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, umidom melach, melech memid umachaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'emanata lechahayot metim, baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hametim.
Sim shalom tova vracha ba'olam chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael lamecha. Grant peace and goodness and blessing to the world, grace, kindness, and mercy to us and to all your people, Israel. Bless us all, O Creator, with the divine light of your presence, for by the divine light you have revealed to us your life-giving Torah and taught us chesed, loving kindness, and righteousness, mercy, and shalom, and wholeness and peace. May it please you to bless your people Israel in every season and at every hour with your peace. Praised are you, O Lord, bestower of peace upon your people Israel.
Sim shalom tova uvracha ba'olam hein v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha aleinu avinu kulanu ke'echad be'or panecha. Ki ve'or panecha, ve'or panecha, ki ve'or panecha, natata lanu Adonai Eloheinu, Torah chayim, ve'achavat chesed, utzraka, uvracha, ve'rachamim, ve'chayim, ve'shalom, ve'shalom. V'tov tov beinecha levavrech et amcha Yisrael v'chol eit uv'chol sha'a b'shlomecha. Baruch atah Adonai hamavarech et amo Yisrael v'shalom.
Shikoach to you, Cantor. We now turn towards our Torah reading for the day, Parshat. It's a wonderful one, Ve'era, and join us as we sing the few pasukim at the beginning. But first, we must, of course, say the bracha, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Vayedaber Elohim el Moshe Vayomer Elav ani Adonai Ve'era El Abraham El Yitzchak Ve'el Yaakov Ha'el Shaddai Ushmi Adonai Lo Nodati Lahem Vegam Hami Hakimoti et Briti Itam Leteit Lahem El Eretz Canaan et Eretz Megurehem Asher Garuva. What we just read in English translates, and I'm going to read this from our Eitz Chaim, states, God spoke to Moses and said to him, I am the Lord. I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as El Shaddai, but I did not make myself known to them by my name, Yud-He Vav-He, or what we understand to be Adonai. I also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land in which they lived as sojourners. Briefly, I want to just suggest that we look at this as a way to understand the importance of developing a relationship with God. How is it that you develop a relationship with God? A relationship is something in which we have to relate to the other. We have to relate to a dynamic relationship. In other words, the Cantor and I, we started with a conversation and we got to know each other through a series of being able to have interactions, to relate. I get this, I get that. That's how a relationship works. So how is it that we are supposed to relate to God? Many of us over the course of our lives have felt a distance with God. Maybe in moments in which we feel great joy or great love, we can feel a presence. Or maybe In a moment of extreme sadness or disappointment or hurt, we can also feel a connection. But isn't that something that is happening within us? Isn't that something that is a relationship more with what's going on inside of us and a deep feeling? What truly is the relationship with God? We can look at our text to really get an insight into what is being said. God speaks to Moses and says to him, well, if somebody were to tell me that God spoke to them, right, today, you might think a lunacy commission might be brought up for this person. So when we say God speaks, what does that truly mean? How do we get connected with some kind of God, some kind of higher power? But it goes on to say, I, the Lord, I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as El Shaddai. What's really important here is that Moses, who is a different generation from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, still had a relationship, but a different relationship with God. People who went before us had a different relationship with God than we will, and our children will have a different relationship with God. That's really what the relationship is speaking about. That we, each and every one of us, depending on where we are in our life, the question we ask as each generation will develop their relationship with God and their fellows. For me to say that I have the same relationships that my ancestors had with each other is off. That's not going to be the case. We, as an individual generation, have different questions. We bring different questions to God. We bring different questions to our holy texts. We bring different questions to our parents. We bring different questions. Maybe the answers aren't really what it's about, but it is about the importance of each generation asking its own questions. And it is through the questions that we ask, it is through the inquiry, it is through the seeking. It is through the seeking. Aren't questions ultimately trying to seek deeper and deeper understanding? It's not always in the seeking that we are looking only for answers, but in the seeking itself that we develop relationship. Moses had his seeking. Our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, and Rachel, all had their seeking relationships and all their questions. If we truly want to develop a relationship with God, we have to ask ourselves, how am I truly seeking right now to develop that relationship? As I use a example with Cantor, certainly it was about us relating, but both of us sought for that relationship to become important. Both of us sought out that relationship to be something in which we wanted to make important. Think about that for a moment. Where are the relationships that you truly seek out and that are important for you to continue seeking to make and develop? Aren't those the ones that are the strongest? Because the relationships that we don't put the energy, thought, time, and life energy into, those relationships have very little to them. May we find time today to truly seek a relationship with God, nature, whatever it is that you are defining. But it is important, it is in the seeking, to know that it is in the seeking in which those relationships were developed. If you are having problems, if you are still challenged with what that really means, look at your personal relationships and see how you develop those. Then apply that to other relationships, God, self. Through our relationships with other people, we can certainly connect with those. Shabbat Shalom. We now begin the conclusion of our service on page 480 with Elena.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol latet gedula leotzer breshit shelo asanu kegoye ha'aratzot velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chelkenu kahem vegor aleinu kechol hamonam va'anachnu korim Umishtakavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamelachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu notei shamayim beyoser haaretz Umoshavi karo b'shamayim ha'al, ushchinatu zo, begav he meromim, hu Eloheinu enod, emet malkeinu efesulato, kakatu betorato, v'yadata hayom v'hashevota elevavecha, ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, b'shamayim imha, ve'al ha'aretz mitachat enod.
For sovereignty is yours, and to all eternity you will reign in glory. As it is written in your Torah, the Lord shall reign forever and ever. And it has been foretold, the Lord shall be sovereign over all the earth. On that day the Lord shall be one, and shall be acclaimed as one.
Kakatu b'toratecha, Adonai imloch le'olam v'hed. V'nehemar, v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz. Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad. Ushamo echad.
May the memories which we cherish and lovingly now recall inspire us so to live, that we too may bequeath a heritage of precious memories to those whom we shall leave behind. In this week's yard sites, Jay Friedman, father of Leonard Friedman, Paula Raffish, mother of Brian Raffish, Lenora Golub, sister of Marlene Strauss, Rhoda Schultz, mother of Vicky Hauptman, Martin Fruitman, husband of Susan Komsky, Etta Fireman, mother of Louise Pinsky, and also grandmother to Rand Pinsky, Lynn Gerner, and Margie Weiss. Lillian Estelle Washboard, mother of Rosalie A. Sarch. Kevin Ben, brother of Rena Levy. Ribono Shalom Alahel Rachol L'chol Basar, Master of the world, God of the spirit of all flesh, it is revealed and known before you that it is our desire to praise your name and to remember and honor those who we are observing this yard site. By reciting the Mourner's Kaddish in company of a minyan, though circumstances prevent us from doing so, may our yearnings and prayers find favor in your eyes and be accepted and received before you as if we had prayed the Kaddish. May you grant hope and healing to all who suffer, and may we soon be able to once again safely gather in holiness and joy. And may your name, God, be elevated and sanctified everywhere on earth, and may peace reign everywhere. Say shalom ben Ramav, huya say shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May God, who makes harmony and peace in the heights, grant us harmony and peace here for us, for all Israel and all humankind, and let us all say, amen. We now conclude our service with the Don Olam, which can be found on page 488.
Adon Olam asher malah b'terem kol yitzir nivra le'ed nasa v'hefza kol azay malech shemo nikra Adon Olam ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora Adon Olam ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh ve'hu yeh b'tifara Adon Olam V'chu echad ve'en sheni laham shilo lachbira Adon Olam v'li reshit v'li tachlit v'lo haoz v'hamizra Adon Olam v'hu eli v'chai goali v'tzur hevli be'etzara Adon Olam v'hu nisi umanosli menat kosi be'yom ekra Adon Olam Be'yado afkid ruchi, be'edishan be'ayira Adon Olam, be'hudisi umanos. No, wait, I lost it. Be'im ruchi gaviati, Adonai livelo ira Adon Olam, asher malah, b'terem kol yitzir nivra, Le'ed nasa v'hefzako azay malech shemoni kra adon olam. Shabbat shalom.
Good Shabbos. Yasher koach, Canner.